channel. Here we are, first ride of 2022. Well, not the first ride, the first motovlog of 2022. We're here in the end of January in the lower mainland, and it's a relatively nice day out, so I thought I'd get out, go see what we can find. Well, it's not a bad day out here today. It's a little overcast, but it's 6.5 degrees, and that's okay for going out for a ride. Well, we got about 16 weeks till we take off on our adventure here, and there's a lot of work to happen in order to plan and get ready for a long-term vacation like that. So for the next 16 weeks, I'll be doing some local motovlogs around the Vancouver area. Pretty hard to go any further, because if you go north, you run into snow. If you go east, you run into snow. And if you go west, well, you just run into the ocean. We're going to a place today called Deas Island. Now, I don't know if it can really be called an island anymore, because there's an actual land bridge that's been built from Delta to the island. So it's connected by land. Is it still an island? That I don't know. Once we get to Deas Island, I got a little bit of a story to tell there. And I also got a shout out where I want to recognize somebody at the end of this video. We are at Deas Island Regional Park. Deas Island is on the south leg of the Fraser River before it gets out to the ocean. And lots of people think about the Fraser River at this point as being all industrial and commercial land. And Deas Island used to be. But I think they turned it into a regional park back in 1981. And there's a couple of heritage buildings here. One's an old settler's home, and one is the very last one-room schoolhouse that was in the Delta Ladner area. When I was younger, in my teenage years, and if anybody said Deas Island at that time, what I thought of was the Deas Island Tunnel. It's actually called the George Massey Tunnel, but years ago it was called the Deas Island Tunnel. So here we are on top of the George Massey Tunnel, as I used to remember it as the Deas Island Tunnel. And it was built in, I think it opened in 1959. Now, in 1959, the population of Vancouver was a lot less than it is right now. And this tunnel is way outdated. It's a bottleneck every day for rush hour traffic. Actually, what they do is they do lane reversals now, so in one side of the bridge you'll have traffic going both directions in a tunnel. It gets pretty intimidating sometimes when the trucks are going through there. Now, this tunnel's a little bit different because they didn't bore it underneath the river. They actually put it together in concrete sections on the river and then sunk it, so it sits on top of the riverbed. So where did Deas Island get its name from? It was named after John Sullivan Deas. So John Deas was recognized as one of the 150 prominent British Columbians when Canada went through its 150th celebration a few years back. John Sullivan Deas actually came up from San Francisco during the gold rush in the 1860s, I think it was, late 50s, 60s. And he ended up in Yale, BC. He quickly learned that the gold rush really wasn't his thing, and he thought there was more money in salmon. And since he was a tinsmith, he decided to open a cannery. By 1871, he had it opened up. The first recognized salmon cannery in British Columbia. It was right here on Deas Island. Anyhow, this was a very successful cannery. At that time in the 1870s, depending on the salmon run that year, they would can anywhere from 200 to 400,000 cans of fresh salmon every year. Now, the fisheries at that time started to boom in the 1870s, and there was a whole number of canneries that started opening, and a lot of them were on the other side in Richmond. We're here in Delta. And since John had the leading cannery, and what they used to do is they used to reserve areas along the Fraser River here for where they would get the salmon from. Now, it was a little bit of a cutthroat industry back then. Of course, there wasn't much for regulations or people or government around. So when other canneries tried to lay claim to areas that he had worked on for years, he went to the government and tried to put his claim on it, and they refused it. And then when he tried it one more time, I think it was in 1877, they ended up putting him in jail for 3 weeks. And then by the time he got out, the fishing run was done, which blew that year for him. So in 1878, he sold out and moved down to Portland, Oregon with his wife and 7 kids, I think it is. Now, it was a tough living back then. I think he died a few years later at the age of 42 or 46. So this is where the cannery would have been, and there was 3 substantial sized buildings at that point, but there's nothing left here now. There is a marker, which I'll show you right now, which indicates where it was. I wanted to do a shout out today. Today's shout out is for Desiree, and her YouTube channel is Wind Road Therapy. And I know a lot of you out there know her. She's got some fantastic videos for mail calls. She supports so many people and tries to, spread everybody's channels around. And I had the great pleasure to be able to meet her last year. We met up at the Buffalo Chip during the Black Hills Rally last August. I'll show you a picture right here. So Desiree ended up sending a Christmas letter, which I just got last week. Good old Canada Post. But Desiree, thank you very much. So what did we get from Desiree here? So we got a nice Christmas card from Desiree. I'll show it to you here. It's her and her dog Boo Boo. And Desiree resides in Florida there, but she travels around in her toy hauler with her truck, but she's got her Kawasaki Vulcan, which she does her motor vlogs on. So I'll put a link in the description below. Check out your channel. I know most of you already probably know it, but check it out if you don't. Thank you, Desiree. And we got some pretty cool new stickers here too. And Desiree, I still got your fridge magnet and it's still on the fridge. Anyhow, thank you for everything you've done to help me out with my channel. Cheers. I sure hope you enjoyed that little ride out to Deas Island, British Columbia. It's a real nice day to go for a ride today. Winter time in Canada, you can't beat it. I sure enjoy being able to get out on the bike in the 4th week of January in Canada here. And it's up to 7.5 degrees. It's like summertime. Well, I got my coffee. Ready to go. Let's hit the road home. Okay, take care. Have a good weekend. GoPro stop recording. Okay, it's working this time. On and off, on and off. GoPro stop recording.